You ever see a one-sided argument you have to stick your nose into?
You happen to touch upon two really important points here, but missed the third one.
5-second explanation. She's talking about dark romance, and this is a response to a response. You don't have to watch the rest to understand.
The first one, which is really important, a lot of dark taboo topics are only sexy and erotic in fiction precisely because it's fiction.
I guess she's never heard of the Dead Pill Killer, a man who unalived a bunch of women and then immediately got a bunch of romance letters from women. It's called hybristophilia. Some people call it a sexuality. Some people call it a mental disorder. I call it a stupid.
Like what you said, sexual assault can feel sexy in some dark romance stories, but in real life, there is nothing sexy about being a rapist.
I absolutely agree. I think it's foul, but 11% of women would disagree with you. I would say that makes you right. However, you are an absolutist. If you don't support dark romance, you have to be a Puritan in your eyes, since absolutism is the lowest form of cognitive thinking. So based off your own definition, I guess you're wrong.
Women have always said this. I forgot it was last year or 2 years ago, maybe. There was actually a trend on TikTok with women saying what they would do if their book boyfriend become real. And it's basically them running away, calling 911, or like stabbing the guy with a knife.
Don't worry, I don't expect you to read that monstrosity. But if the dark, soulless eyes don't clue you in, then let me tell you. This whole paragraph basically just says she breaks up with men that aren't like book talk boyfriends. In other words, it's literally the opposite. She makes a great video breaking down the problems with the book talk boyfriend mentality, how it's creating unrealistic expectations, like the soulless has proven. I suggest taking a look at her video on it.
I only find it erotic when a man is the victim of all kinds of violence, either at the hands of another man or a woman.
Say what now? That was disgusting.
It's just what works for me. It's always been that way. But I can say for sure, there is nothing sexy about male victims in real life. Either they are prisoners of war or victims of human trafficking or just a bunch of guys fist fighting each other in the bar.
Oh, thank God. Jesus. This is one of my all-time best creators that I stitch. I thought I was going to have to ban you after that one.
Point that you mentioned here, maybe unintentionally, is that there is a pretty large difference regarding to whether a topic is portrayed erotically based on the genre of the media. Because for a few genres, erotica is very common and expected. Romance is a prime example. The other one I could think of is erotic horror.
Okay, perfect. She actually just contradicted herself from a previous video. Let's watch.
Been written for people to get off on it, unlike dark romance. First of all, what kind of puritanical voyeurism metric is that? But more importantly, if you think people are only turned on by materials that directly portray sex or romance, then you have a really limited understanding of human sexuality and probably shouldn't be talking about this at all.
This is why absolutism and a category error directly can contradict one another. First, she treats it like an absolutist and basically says if you can't accept the most cringe, extreme smut corn out there, that you must be a Puritan, either one or the other in the most extreme options. Then she says, oh, wait, hold on. Tone and perspective does become important, especially what the author intended. No. Pick a lane, sister. The correct answer is based off the tone of the author because a sex scene isn't necessarily smut, but all smut is basically a sex scene.
A man's suffering can be very sexy and erotic, like Will in Hannibal, but there is nothing sexy about 12 Years a Slave.
Oh, but remember, you have to be a Puritan or nothing. I can't stand absolutism. It's so the lowest form of thinking. But she disproves herself one video after another. Good creator, bad takes. She should move on from this.